Should you major in accounting or finance? That depends. What classes are you good at? What kind of work do you find fulfilling? What are your career goals? What's the reputation of your university? Let's start with your classes. Most universities require you to take financial accounting, managerial accounting, and corporate finance whether you major in accounting or finance. Thus, you can get a look at the fundamentals of both accounting and finance before deciding which major is the best fit for you. But you should also think about the upper level courses for each major. If you major in accounting, your upper level courses will include tax, auditing, and advanced topics in financial accounting. If you major in finance, you'll take courses on investments, derivatives, and fixed income securities. You can skim some textbooks, listen to some podcasts, or watch some videos to see if any of these topics appeal to you. But while it's important to note which classes you like, sometimes you like a class for random reasons. Maybe you had a great professor, or you had a lot of friends in the class, or the class met right after lunch when you were in a good mood. Thus, you should ask yourself this: what kind of work would you prefer doing on a daily basis? There's a lot of overlap between accounting and finance. In whichever path you choose, you'll probably end up working with financial statements in some capacity and looking at a lot of spreadsheets. But there are some key differences in the type of work you'd be doing. Accounting is about recording, reporting, and auditing financial transactions. Finance is more about analyzing financials and big picture planning and strategy. So ask yourself, are you interested in learning how to make the journal entry to record a bond issuance? Or would you be more interested in analyzing how the value of the bond would change in response to interest rates? Are you eager to audit a company's working capital accounts? Or would you be more interested in managing a company's working capital? Would you enjoy preparing the financial statements of a company going public? Or would you be more interested in building a financial model to estimate the value of that company? If you think accounting for transactions is boring and you'd rather be building financial models or thinking about how to invest a company's excess cash, then finance is probably a better fit. But if you're a detail-oriented person and you prefer clearly defined tasks, then accounting might be a better major for you. Now, as you think about the type of work that you find fulfilling, you should also think about your career goals. Do you want to work in public accounting and be an auditor or a tax professional? If so, you should major in accounting. It's not impossible for a finance major to get hired as an auditor, but you'll raise fewer eyebrows if you majored in accounting. Similarly, if you want to be an accountant in private industry, you should major in accounting. Finance, on the other hand, tends to be a better major if you want to work in investment banking, commercial banking, wealth management, corporate finance, and fintech. Finance is also a great major if you want to work as a financial analyst or a financial advisor, perhaps pursuing the CFA or CFP certification. Now, if your long-term goal is to become a CFO, either an accounting major or a finance major could eventually get you there. But if your long-term goal is to become a partner at a public accounting firm, you should major in accounting. And if your long-term goal is to climb the corporate ladder in banking, break into private equity, or work for a hedge fund, you'd probably be better off majoring in finance. Note that finance offers a broader set of career paths, whereas accounting is more specialized since you're training for a specific profession. Another thing you should consider when choosing your major is the reputation of your university. If you're a finance major, your job prospects will be very different if you go to an elite university versus if you go to an average or below average university. Finance majors at elite universities are recruited by investment banks, and those students end up with very high starting salaries. They often try to pivot to private equity after a couple of years of investment banking, at which point they make even more money. Finance majors at universities with less stellar reputations, however, aren't as likely to be hired by an investment bank. They're more likely to end up working in wealth management or in a finance role at a small firm, government agency, or regional bank. They might even end up working as a loan officer or for an insurance company. When it comes to accounting majors, however, your job prospects are less dependent on your school's reputation. Of course, going to a school with a better reputation is always helpful. But at the time this video was published, there's a shortage of accountants. This means that even accounting majors at schools with an average reputation are getting hired by the Big Four accounting firms. Thus, if you don't go to the best school but major in accounting, you have a chance of working for a company like Deloitte or PwC, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's definitely possible. But if you go to an average school and major in finance, you can't expect Goldman Sachs to come knocking at your door. Investment banking is highly competitive and recruiters only target certain schools. Every now and then, a student from a non target school lands a job with a bulge bracket bank, but it's often because that student went to extraordinary lengths to network or did other things to find that job. I've noticed these distinctions in my own career. When I taught at Washington University in St. Louis, most finance majors landed high paying jobs in investment banking. But when I taught at schools with less stellar reputations, the finance majors weren't getting those same types of jobs. At those schools, the accounting majors tended to do better. Thus, you should consider the reputation of your school when choosing a major, because the reputation affects the type of firms that will recruit from your school. Some people say that finance is a better major at top tier schools, whereas accounting is a better major at other schools, but you should also consider other factors. It's also common for students to double major in accounting and finance, which gives students the flexibility to pursue internships and jobs in both areas. I saw a lot of this at Washington University in St. Louis, where students would major in finance but then pick up a second major in accounting, not because they necessarily wanted to become an accountant, but because they wanted to be a better candidate for those investment banking jobs. Finally, you might be wondering about trends in the number of accounting and finance majors. In the United States, the number of accounting majors has steadily declined, while there's been an increase in the popularity of finance as a major. Why? At the time of this video, you need 150 credit hours to become a certified public accountant in the United States. Thus, students wonder why they should spend an additional year at college when they can just go into finance and potentially make more money doing more interesting work. Stories of accountants getting burned out during busy season in public accounting certainly don't help, and a lot of accountants have left the profession for better pay elsewhere. But remember that finance is very competitive, and few people get the most lucrative jobs. And I can tell you plenty of stories about former students who got burned out after working 100-hour work weeks in investment banking. No career is perfect, and you need to decide which major is the best fit for you. Here's a summary of what I said about each major. Feel free to share your own experiences in the comments section below. What do you see as the benefits and drawbacks of each major? Whatever path you choose, I hope you found this video helpful and that you have a terrific career.